in Durban, Umkhonto WeSizwe Party is also on its campaign trail in Kwamashu. Now, the party is currently embroiled in those leadership battle squads between, of course, former President Jacob Zuma as well as Jabulani Khumalo. Now, Khumalo, as we understand, is the one that had registered the party on behalf of Zuma with the IEC. But in April, we also understand that Khumalo then wrote to the IEC indicating that he was stepping down as the leader of the party. And for more on this story, we do have our reporter on the ground, Ayanda Mhlongo. Ayanda, so the court battles are on hold for a moment and campaigning continues in Kwamashu. Now we saw, of course, the MK leader in a short while ago who was in Mlazi. So talk to us about what the people of Kwamashu will be hoping to hear from Jacob Zuma when he addresses them.
Alicia, good afternoon to our viewers. Well, in fact, former President Jacob Zuma, who's now leader of Umkhonto WeSizwe Party, Alicia, has just concluded his address here to a quite vibrant and jovial crowd. People who've come out in their numbers here at the Kwamashu Freedom Park are really excited to hear from former President Jacob Zuma. Of course, this is his first time, Alicia, being in Kwamashu. And as you know, we've been reporting, myself and my colleagues, Samgelo Masego, Simpiwe Makanya, on the activity in KwaZulu-Natal just this past week and over this weekend, not only with the MK party, but other political parties as well. You'd note that the ANC, for example, having brought former President Thabo Mbeki to campaign for them, just showing how, how intense the campaigning is. This is, of course, the final stretch, and you see now former President Jacob Zuma, as you know, yesterday he was campaigning in the Durban CBD. Today he is in Kwamashu. And Alicia, speaking to some of the leaders of Umkhonto WeSizwe, saying that, yes, they have been pretty much sort of distracted by the courts, but they're changing their tact now. They're going back to the ground, and them saying that former President Jacob Zuma is going to be more visible and engaging with his supporters on the ground. You also mentioned there, Alicia, quite importantly, of course, that this is all happening in the midst of a leadership battle within Umkhonto WeSizwe. This tussle between Jacob Zuma as well as Jabulani Khumalo, as you were saying, who registered Umkhonto WeSizwe parties. We know Khumalo still maintains, despite him having been expelled from the party, he still maintains that he is the founder and the leader of Umkhonto WeSizwe. Although, Alicia, since this leadership battle between them, we haven't seen Jabulani Khumalo on the ground. We haven't seen Jabulani Khumalo engaging with MK supporters. What we have heard from former President Jacob Zuma, him basically breaking his silence on the developments within the party. He has expressed his disappointment with what has happened, and basically saying that he is the one that in fact was behind the formation of Umkhonto WeSizwe, and that he had simply asked Mr. Khumalo to register the party on his behalf. Now, that is something that we had not heard. Remember, Alicia, from the time that former President Jacob Zuma in December announced that he was going to be backing Umkhonto WeSizwe, he simply said that he's supporting Umkhonto WeSizwe, that he's backing Umkhonto WeSizwe because he's unhappy with the current leadership of the ANC. But yesterday, he is now saying, admitting that he is in fact the one that is behind the formation of Umkhonto WeSizwe. He also then went on to basically say that Khumalo is a leader who is ambitious, and that he's amongst the leaders who are simply after position, expressing his disappointment with what has been happening. But of course, urging supporters of Umkhonto WeSizwe to stay on course, to not be distracted by the infighting within the party. And when we spoke earlier on to Simpiwe Makanya, who is the coordinator of the MK party here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, he's saying that leadership issues, or rather infighting within parties, is not something that it's new. He's saying that it's something that they are dealing with as the MK party, and it's something that is now behind them. They are now focused on what they've been saying, that they want, Alicia, a two-thirds majority. So essentially, Alicia, I think that is what we've now heard from a former president in response to what is happening behind the scenes, rather, I'd say, within the MK party. But here, you received a really good reception from the people who are out here, very excited to hear from former President Jacob Zuma. Alicia?
Very interesting to note as well, Ayanda, is, of course, we know that another former ANC president, I mean, this is an interesting aspect. Thabo Mbeki was just in Kwamashu. He's now heading to where Jacob Zuma was in Umlazi. We know Kwamashu, a former ANC stronghold, but of course, those service delivery issues have now, of course, and the IFP in the area, in the province as well, also joining that Moonshot Pact, meaning that the votes in Kwamashu are basically up for grabs.
Certainly, Alicia, if you look in KwaZulu-Natal, 5.7 million registered voters, with the majority here in the eThekwini Metro. And we're now seeing these political parties descend on the eThekwini Metro. You know, as we're saying, I think it was a week ago, Alicia, when you and I were chatting, when ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa was here in Kwamashu. We now see, as you're saying, a former President Thabo Mbeki, who's on the campaign trail for the ANC. In fact, Alicia, he was probably about a kilometer or 2 kilometers away from where we are, and that in itself is very interesting development, because I'd say that in the history of the African National Congress, you've never had two former presidents, one supporting the ANC or member of the ANC, and the other now having turned his back on the ANC and campaigning for the first time for another political party. So certainly what we've been seeing here in the eThekwini Metro over this weekend is the first, I would suppose, in the history of the ANC. It's something that has never happened, that you would have two former presidents of the ANC campaigning, but on two opposite sides. But definitely, Alicia, as you're saying, you know, there is this intensity now. Obviously, the campaign is intensifying across all political parties, and parties feeling that it's important for them to bring out their big guns to come out and campaign for them. It is the ANC, it is the MK. You are mentioning the IFP as well. We've seen IFP President Velenkosini Hlabisa. He has also been here to the area of Kwamashu. The provincial leaders of the IFP as well. Yesterday, the premier candidate of the IFP, Tamsang Ntuli, was also here in the area of Kwamashu. So certainly a big focus in what was an ANC stronghold, and we're now seeing other political parties trying to make inroads into this particular area. Alicia?
And I asked you this question the last time we had a conversation, of course. MK official manifesto launch. Do you have any word as to when and where this will take place? Very quickly.
All we know at the moment, Alicia, is that it's likely to take place on the 18th of May at the Orlando Stadium in Johannesburg. And so these events that we are now seeing, the MK leaders are saying these are part of the build-up for that manifesto launch, which will be in Johannesburg. Alicia?
All right, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much to SABC News reporter there, Ayanda Mhlongo in Kwamashu, of course, tracking MK party leader there, Jacob Zuma, who was addressing the residents of Kwamashu.